What's up, everybody? This is Urban Shop Talk Live, episode 29 for October 2nd, 2017. And with us today, we have a very special guest, NFL.
Wait, hold on. You didn't say the name, man.
Hold on. Well, I'm
no,
going to
say the
that.
name first.
I got to
That's how we always do it. Name, Barry, and Terry.
Go ahead.
There you
Go
go.
ahead.
Barry and
You're
Terry.
going to stop my flow. You're going to stop my flow. Barry and Terry. They know what it is. Barry and Terry. Joined as always with Dina Finney.
Hi guys, thank you for tuning in.
Nicole Johnson.
Hello.
And the man who I was introducing a minute ago, before I was interrupted, the man himself, and an alumni of the Seattle Seahawks and the Washington, the UW, threw me off, the Huskies, Mr. Nesby Glasgow.
Oh,
goodness.
See, he is so excited and nervous.
I had it.
Anyway, I was a 9-year veteran for the Baltimore/Indianapolis coach before I came to Seattle and played 5 years for the Seahawks.
Can I ask a quick question?
Please.
Did you play with Eric Dickerson?
Yes, I did.
Oh, man, that's my favorite running back all the time.
Good dude.
I had a lot ready for that intro, but I was interrupted. I just want to put that out there. Now, before we get started, though, we got a lot to talk to with Mr. Nesby Glasgow. But before we start that, we do have to unfortunately start off with giving our condolences and well wishes to all the victims of the senseless shooting that happened last night in Las Vegas. 50 some odd people, the numbers going up, that were killed, 500 or so plus injured in a random act of violence. And we just want to send all of our well wishes and our prayers and thoughts to everybody that was affected by that tragedy. Real quick, everybody, Nicole.
Let's start with Nicole.
What do you feel?
Yeah, it's really tragic, and it's sad to think that it's really unfortunate that when you go out in public, you have to constantly be worried about your safety. But I definitely feel for all the families that have been affected by that.
Yes, Mr. Nesby?
You know, I think, the times we're living today, everybody needs to be very careful and to be aware. We have so many things that are going wrong with the United States of America, and I've been able to travel a lot, and the rest of the world truly does see us as the leaders of the world, and to have all these dysfunctions going on, taking place right now, having a guy run around with 10 automatic weapons, shooting up, just a ton of other Americans, it just doesn't make sense.
For me, I'm just praying for everybody affected. I'm praying for all of us because we need prayers. The world needs to heal, and hopefully, with prayers, we can come together as people and we can be saved. Make this as a happy place. Thank you.
Yeah. Barry.
Yeah. I don't know. When I woke up this morning and actually heard about the news, it seems like we're getting a lot of this news on a constant basis, and I think we need, as a country, have some reflection and really work on ourselves and work on really trying to mold this country and to be a more positive country. I mean, we see this type of senseless violence on the constant, on the regular. Maybe this is something that can ultimately get us to move in the right direction. I hope so, at least. So.
Yeah, not to politicize things too much. It's always a worry that somebody could even get access to as many weapons like this guy supposedly had. You got to worry about that because, with friends and families, we all like to go out and we like to be communal. I think as human beings, we like to enjoy things in public and big festivals and things like that. And unfortunately, with people having access to the kind of weapons that they have, we're all just targets and sitting ducks in situations like this. So it's unfortunate. There's a lot more that you could dig into with this whole situation, but we're going to just take it right now to just say we want everybody to just stay safe, be safe, and and well wishes and thoughts out to everybody who was affected by that.
This is about prayer and reflection, I think. So.
Definitely. All right, so Mr. Nesby Glasgow, a man who was a member of the Seattle Seahawks and the Colts. We are going to get into the talk, and we're going to lighten things up a little bit.
Don't forget, most of all, the University of Washington.
And the
1978 Rose Bowl champion.
Rose Bowl champions.
You were one of the first African Americans to play under Don James, right?
Yeah.
No.
Maybe we can have him.
No. Okay, I was part of Don James's first class.
First class, okay.
So, in 1975, he became the head coach of the University of Washington. But You know, he recruited a number of African Americans. He always had a good reputation of being a fair, open, and honest coach. In fact, one of the issues I had coming on my visit to Washington was that I remember my high school head coach, who was white. He called myself and Antoine Richardson because the University of Washington was recruiting both of us, and he called us into his office. And he said, you know, when you go up to Washington, I need you to talk to the brothers, the black players. So at that point, we're kind of like, huh? He says, I want you guys, you're like my sons. I want to make sure that the environment that you are going into is a good, strong, solid environment. Because if the previous coach was there, I wouldn't allow you to be recruited by the University of Washington.
And
we didn't know that.
tell the viewers where you're from originally.
I'm from that fabulous city called Compton.
Oh,
Yes.
Compton.
So from Compton to Seattle.
But
University
I
of
went to Gardena High School because I played Pop Warner
Shout out to
football over
Gardena
there.
High
Go Gardena.
School.
We were city champions and all that kind of good stuff. And you know, that really, I went to high school in a much stable environment, and I didn't have the same issues that I had when I was over in Compton. So my godparents lived in Gardena, so I lived with them in the 9th grade, and went to Gardena as a 10th grader. So everything was smooth since I graduated from Perry Junior High. There was never a question about me belonging or not belonging to Gardena.
There you go. There you go. So you made your way up north. You went to the UW, and now you became a member of the Century team. What is that? Century team.
For the Huskies,
Yeah.
that means for the first 100 years, I am one of the top football players to ever play
Wow.
at the University of Washington.
wow.
So that's a prestigious award. You know, you have and I'm also a Hall of Fame member, but you know, there are a number of Hall of Fame members that aren't part of the All Century team.
So you got your Hall of Fame and the Century, and you're
Yeah.
saying
Can you name some of the other players that are part of the
Michael Jackson had played with me.
Linebacker, right?
Played linebacker.
good player? Yeah.
Mario Bailey.
All right.
Shout out Mario.
Yeah.
Great wide receiver.
Yeah.
Steve Edman on there?
Steve Edmonds on there.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the
So
top,
Lawyer 2 is there too.
I want to say
Lawyer
lawyers. No, you
No?
know what? I thought about that. I think it ended like in 90. I think 93 and 94 was the last year.
Okay.
So, so that you know, a lot of those guys on that 92 that shared the national championship with Miami, they're on that team too.
Wow.
You guys are loaded.
And you're also like a Husky Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I'm
What
also
year
a
was that?
Famer.
What year was that?
I think I got inducted 2001. Yeah.
That's good.
A great honor.
Big ups, man.
Yeah.
Big up. So
Yeah.
So what are you doing now? What are some of the
I am enjoying life now. I have 8 grandkids and one on
Okay.
the way.
Okay.
I'm also a NFL alumni, HUF, which stands for Heads Up Football Ambassador. So I do a lot of talks to Pop Warner teams and middle schools and even high schools. In fact, I'll be at Bellevue High School on Wednesday.
all right, they can look forward to that at Bellevue High School. So I want to stay with college real quick. So your college days back
Yeah.
then, back in the day.
I got
when
a
it-
couple college questions.
Yeah,
Steve.
yeah.
Okay.
Big
You
time.
you're doing your thing out there. What were some of the major challenges for you? I know I've heard a lot of stories for college players, you know, currently and throughout all history. What was the biggest challenge for you? Just trying to be a player and a student at the same time. What was your biggest challenge?
I don't think the player student was ever a challenge for me. You know, from the time I was a little kid to the time I actually grew up and played college football and even played National Football League. My mindset was that because even as a young kid, I always played with older guys. So my mindset was, I'm going to always make the old guys prove to me I can't play with them.
There you go.
And, you
Yes.
know, fortunately for me, you know, every year I was able to prove that I could play with them. You know, I didn't start as a sophomore in high school, but my junior year I started. I started as a freshman at the University of Washington, and I started as a rookie for the Baltimore Colts. So I never let situations overwhelm me. And And I think because of that, and just having that simplistic view of it, I was always able to compete and not, because a lot of guys would come to college without hearing talk, or they go to the National Football League, and they were always, well, hey, I'm just going to make the team, and if I make the team, that's it. My deal was not just making the team. My deal was starting.
Right.
So
you had to be the man out there.
Yeah.
So did you play safety?
Yeah, I played safety. Well, I played
Free safety or strong safety?
Well, I ended up playing free. What happened to me is that I broke my ankle in the Senior Bowl.
Oh.
So now you really know how wackadoodle I am, because even after breaking my ankle,
Played 14 years.
I still said that I've always healed at a very rapid rate. In fact, the story, I was on the phone with Don Shula back in 1979.
Drop your
Hall of
name.
Fame, Hall of Fame coach with the Miami Dolphins.
And this when phones used to beep, if somebody's on the line. So I'm on the phone listening to him, and he's talking about, we're going to give you a year, based on what we've heard on your injury, the odds aren't really that good for you to be able to play this year.
Right.
And I said to Coach Shula, it'd be a pleasure and an honor to play for you, and I meant that. And then I said, and by the way, Coach, my plans are to play this year, not to take this year off. And he said, well, you don't have to. I said, no, my plans are to play this year. So when the phone beeped, I said, Coach, I hope it's not Baltimore, because they had the next pick. Because he was telling me if Baltimore doesn't pick me, then they're going to draft me. So then it was Ted Marchibroda, and he said the same thing that Coach Shula did. Based on the x-rays, I had a plate and 5 screws put in my ankle. So, most people would say, well, you might want to quit football.
How far along were you in the recovery at this point?
It happened in the Senior Bowl, which was in January. So
this is
yeah.
right.
So
that's
good.
pretty impressive,
Yeah.
right? To break your ankle in the Senior
no,
Bowl,
I shattered it. It had
or
a plate
shattered,
and 6 screws. Yeah.
and
Well,
then
5 screws. Yeah.
to then have a 14-year career with the NFL. That's impressive.
I have a question.
Yeah.
And this is good. Let's get on some of these questions. I always want to ask it.
Yeah.
Do you think college players should get paid?
That's it. Good question.
I think they should get some money. I mean,
No. Here's my position on that is that you have a number of universities that have the wherewithal to pay. Then you have a number of universities that don't, because when you're talking about, should they be paid? You have basketball and you have football. Baseball doesn't generate revenue. Tennis doesn't generate revenue.
Mm-hmm.
Golf doesn't generate revenue. So you're specifically talking about 2 areas. The only thing I would say to that is that if a guy wants to call himself a student athlete, then what I would like to see happen is that if they are generating revenue, then they take part once they graduate. If you want to leave early and go to NFL, you get nothing. If you graduate as a student athlete, then there should be a pool set aside.
Trust fund.
Yeah,
Some
for those.
type of stipend.
Yeah, for those that graduate, because once again, quote unquote, they are called student athletes. So let's
Well,
make
you're
sure
still
they
an athlete, but you can't have a job. You can't do nothing.
Yeah.
So how-
No. If you're a student, though, let's make sure you get your degree.
Well, that would that
Because if not, then you just go into college to play football. You're going to college to play
But
basketball.
and that's basically what it's kind of turning into, though.
Well, but my point being is that then you shouldn't be called a student.
Well, I got a couple of, because I think on the one hand, that's great for the other 90-something% that's not going to make it to the league. That's the
Right.
way that it should be for them,
Yeah.
because they're going to be playing and then they're not going to end up making the big checks later on. So that would be good for them. But for the guys that are going, it's pretty big money on the table to turn down, but they're still putting in all the time and all the work and still having to be a student too. You don't
Right.
with the revenue. College football is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and they're making money off the likenesses of these kids. They're making money off the jerseys. You don't think a little
Well,
bit
now
of that?
the head coaches are making
Millions of dollars. These coaches are getting paid.
No. What I'm saying is that if they are going to get paid, then I expect them to have a degree. That's my
I
thing.
get that's his
That's
opinion.
his
I get that's his
opinion, so,
opinion.
I played, I got my degree, so I expect them to get their degree.
Right. Okay.
That's where I stand.
Okay, that's
or at least
that's
have the option of what's coming back.
No, you have that in most major colleges. They will pay for you to go back because they know that football takes up a lot of your time. You know, like with Washington, I went back after, you know, my classes graduated to get my degree. Because, like I said, most universities do that, especially when you're talking about the SEC, the Pac-12, the Big 12. All those universities have enough revenue, and all this is a seat anyway, so it's not really costing them anything.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll let you come back to complete your degree if that's what you want to do.
All right. Dina, you got something?
Well, before we proceed, we just want to acknowledge all our viewers: Joseph Higgins, hi, the Carmier, Carol Aguilar, Eric Bush, Nick Jones, and Joseph here said, "All right, man, you're an OG. We got it. We're about to play the Oscar music on you in a minute here." So meaning they want short answers. Joseph, be patient. Be patient, Joseph.
The man's dropping knowledge. We get the knowledge.
Yeah,
We get the
seriously.
knowledge.
Something different.
So we gonna go from there. We touched on that the college thing. So now, so you went to the NFL.
Yeah.
Baltimore and Indiana coach spent time in both cities.
But most especially, he played for 5 years for the Seahawks. So maybe we should talk about that.
Well, we're getting there, Dina.
Yeah.
We don't play the Oscar music in you in a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joseph,
Okay,
come on now.
So anyway, so you got to leave. You did your thing, man. You did your thing for all that time. What are the biggest differences now from what you see how the league is now to where it was when you were
Can I
playing?
answer that? Money.
Well, besides
Well,
the money.
money is always an issue because the guys that played in the '60s didn't make as much as we did.
Not
I remember when I got drafted by the Baltimore Colts in 1979. We had some of the players on the team that had off-season jobs because unlike
wow.
today, you know, we didn't have all the off-season camps and everything, and guys weren't making the money, so that's what they did.
Huh. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
Right.
They didn't have
So, I
the
mean,
multi-million-dollar contracts.
Yeah.
that
Again,
we have today.
You can count on one hand the guys who was making $1 million a year.
Right. The money went up. I mean, the TV revenue, all of that stuff, it all went up. So that all changes. And
well,
and
since
the money
then, there's
goes up.
been, what, 2 major strikes going on? All right.
I was involved in both of them. We had one in 80, actually one in 82, another one in 87. And the one in 87 is the one in 93 that the NFL players prospered on because 87, we finally got all the rights and everything we needed to be a full-blown union and actually threaten the NFL owners, you know, and so they really had to change because first
And
of all,
why is that? Sorry, I want to.
Yeah.
For people that might not know, they might not be familiar. What exactly were you guys threatening about? What was you guys' position?
well, we were in a position to actually finally shut down the National Football League.
And,
Oh, wow.
and the reason why was
The reason being because in 1987 they had what they call scabs, that guys that played for teams that got cut, and they brought a lot of those guys back. And then we had other guys that crossed the line. You know, a lot of high profile quarterbacks that made a bunch of money. They went back into camp too. And so when everything finally reached the judge and everything else in 1993, then they found that the NFL owners were in violations of a number of things. And so that's when contracts started going up, and there was it was a convoluted free agency, but it still was better than what we had to endure when we played.
right. And what it takes people like you guys to step up and make
Yeah.
the
Make it
changes.
better
That,
for everyone.
and that's why people are enjoying
Yeah.
the contracts and things that they have back then.
Yeah.
One of the things I was interested in, though, I hear a lot of players from back in the day. They talk about the differences in the training and the medical staff and the differences in the equipment and the health. How's the health and safety protocols changed in the modern day to where it was when you guys were out there, you know, just killing each other?
Okay, but see, it's really night and day.
Okay.
And what I mean by night and day is that they have on-site masseuses.
Right.
They have chefs on site. You know,
Right.
we
Nutritionists
yeah,
and all this
nutritionists
stuff,
and all
right.
that. So, you know, and then, you know, they have a concussion protocol. You know, we got knocked out so many times. The only thing they would do would put ammonia tablet under our nose.
How many stars do you see?
No. They would always put, you know, 2 or 3 fingers up. So as long as you said 2 or 3, we knew we were okay.
Oh wow!
And then-
Oh wow!
But it was part of our fault too,
It was different.
because our mentality was that if the bone wasn't sticking out, we could still play.
There you go.
Wow.
No,
you didn't have nobody telling
Hey,
you
we're
not.
playing.
No, because not
Right,
to, right? Because
right.
when I broke my ankle in the Senior Bowl, I get to the sideline, the trainers, you know,
Tape it up.
I told the trainer to tape it up. That's it.
Right.
You know, because I actually limped off the field.
Exactly.
And he said, no, Nesby, no. You don't understand what's going on inside.
Right.
Wow.
And then when I saw the X-ray, and I was like, I must be stuck on stupid.
Right.
You know?
Right.
but that was our mentality. We were
Right.
just bred to be tougher.
Exactly.
And, you know.
Tougher than the days.
Oh, yeah. Coaches used to talk smack about us all the time, call us little, you know,
Yeah.
what Donald Trump says about women, little peas, whatever.
Right.
But anyway.
I mean, and that's the truth. though.
But see, and they used to work. And to give you an example, I used to work about 7 years with University of Alabama. And that was one of the things that I explained to their coaching staff, is that it's your responsibility as a coach to coach your players and say things to them that will give them the best opportunity to be successful.
Right.
You can't coach backwards anymore. So they said, what do you mean? I said, when we were coming up, coaches always talked, smack to us. They always called us chumps and sorry and scared.
Oh, wow.
And our mentality was, I'm going to show this coach he's talking to the wrong guy. Well, if you say that to a young man today, coach don't like me, I'm ready to go home.
Right.
You know?
It's a different game.
And because they've always been told how good they are, and they've always heard nothing but positive things.
So you saying that there's more real men in the league back when you was playing? Is that what I'm getting?
No.
The real men?
Hold on.
Raised.
No. It's the way you're raised. Think about this.
Now you're starting to see that. Now you're starting to see.
Hold on. How many times they play baseball and they let their kids hit? They can have like 10 strikes and they still get the
And they still get some. I got you.
Yes,
I got you on
And they
that.
get their
Look,
participation.
look,
But we're
everybody
also seeing the long-term
Yeah.
effects of some of the older players and what they're going through.
Yeah, everybody gets trophies.
Right,
Yep.
but so
Participate.
you're from the wisdom.
and they should get trophies.
If you
And they
won,
should.
you won. You don't just participate and win. I got you, and I agree
And
on
you
that.
You don't think everybody should get participation?
Yeah, Nicole has something to say.
Now, everybody should get a trophy.
I don't think so.
What do you think?
I
that's
agree.
me.
I don't
agree.
think so.
I don't think.
You know,
Old school
you're
is
setting-
good.
you're
That's
setting-
right.
You're setting all these kids up for disservice.
Yes.
A disservice to them because in the real world,
The real world.
and I'm hardcore with my kids. My
Yeah.
kids, like for example, my son called me crying the other day because he sold really hard. They were working on this fundraiser, and he was trying to beat this. He told me, he's like, I have an arch enemy, Mom, and I need to sell all this stuff so I can win this blanket. He called me crying because he tied, and they made him do rock, paper, scissors, right?
Oh, get it.
And he lost to rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah, that's terrible.
And that wasn't fair because
That's terrible of them.
because
Right,
it
that's
didn't.
not good.
The person who won, it didn't reflect their actual work that they put in, right?
No, that's
And
not.
everyone on my Facebook was like, "You need to call the school. You need to do this. You need to do that." I'm like, "No, I'm not going to. You know why? Because life isn't fair,
No.
and my son needs to learn that. You know what? Sometimes life isn't fair." And yeah, it sucks that he didn't get the blanket, but that's really what's happening in today's society is that everybody, like you said, everybody gets a trophy. Everybody gets this. Everybody gets that. Because nobody wants to hurt anybody's feelings.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But in the real world, at a job,
All the
do you
time.
think you're all going
I
to get
agree.
raised?
But the
No.
problem I think
Okay,
why
go
they're
ahead.
doing that in sports though is because people are so sports crazy that when they're seeing parents just be rabid about their kids, about
Yeah, I
playing
agree.
time, about all this
But,
other stuff.
okay.
So I think it's a little bit more.
But
I see
Toward
it.
that-
I see it with my daughter playing
Hold on,
soccer.
okay,
But
okay.
let me ask
In the
Nesby
real world,
about in the real world. You're
in the
coaching
real world.
your
No, in the
your
real world.
grandson's
But we're
football
asking
right
7
now.
or 8-year-olds to model stuff after the real
No,
world. I
he's
think
coaching his grandson's football. And
No, hold on. I think the sooner you start coaching young kids about the real world, the better they will be prepared for the real world.
There you go.
That's my belief. I think.
Exactly.
I think
I
here's
agree.
why.
I agree.
No, here's
Part
why.
of it.
Because whether you believe you can or you can't, you are right. Because you are always self-sabotage at the level of your belief system.
Yep.
And so once we start
Tony
letting
Robbins.
them know that you have to be strong and everything, they'll get
You
there.
got to send Tony Robbins with a.
No, that's me.
royalty.
No, that's me.
It's all
That's
right.
my line.
That's all.
That has nothing to do with Tony. That's my line.
So you see, one of the things I still want to stick on is the real men aspect of it. So looking at the real men yesterday
Here's
and
the
today,
difference. Here's
how
the
hard would you have hit
But you
somebody
seen
like
the
Odell Beckham?
health term.
How hard would you have hit Odell Beckham? Just be real. We out there doing all of this. How hard would you have hit him?
Whoa,
With
You
the
had to
safety.
do anything, though.
How would you hit him?
No,
Odell can
no,
still
no,
play
no,
back
no.
then, and he still would be successful. He's a
I'm
great
just asking.
player.
I want to ask the man.
Well,
He's
you know
saying,
that.
it's a different game.
No, he's right. No. My point being is that we could get away with shots that they can't do today.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so,
Right.
because we could get away, I mean, even defensive linemen, they could, I mean, give a guy a forearm and like put him to sleep,
Put him out.
you know, and it wouldn't be a flag. And, you know, we could do that. So we could be more physical.
Hey man,
Yeah,
when
but-
you guys are down in that pile, is it really as dirty as it look?
Yeah, it is.
Oh man,
Yeah, it is.
I hear that's like the worst place to be. in the
No,
world,
okay,
man.
I was returning punts my rookie year. We playing against Tampa.
Uh-huh.
And, God, dog, now I know I didn't hit too many times.
See?
Oh,
No, remember the
Okay.
guy
Okay.
who was on Tampa because he had gone to SC and he had played in the same high school conference I did, but he was a senior.
So you had a little rivalry.
But he was a senior when I was a sophomore, so we knew each other.
Right.
And I mean, they're down there trying to pinch me in the nuts and stuff.
See?
I mean,
Wow.
and hold on. I got up, I threw the ball, hit one of them in the head,
Wow.
and said, stop grabbing my.
Stop grabbing.
And you know what? Hey, you know what? And the official didn't even throw a flag.
He didn't throw a flag.
Oh, wow.
He didn't throw a flag.
It's a different game back
And
then.
then I went and talked to the guy, who I knew from
Right,
SC.
right.
I said, man, tell your boys to stop acting like punks.
Yeah.
And he made them stop.
Yeah.
All right.
But that's not, it was that dirty.
Don't grab the
It
man's
was
nuts.
cold. It was cold.
Get in the
Yeah.
bottle,
It was
grab
that
the
dirty.
nuts.
It was that dirty.
Yeah.
Talk about some of the health issues, though.
So
So
it's-
actually, we're gonna wrap it up and with a question.
Well, yeah, we're gonna.
We getting there. Well, real quick.
What the hell?
So I want to now we're finding out so many more things with the science and the technology being what it is, and now they're finding out that all these people are coming out the woodwork talking about the brain damage and the
The
things that
CTE.
happen. CTE is the big issue today.
CTE. Let's talk about CTE.
We all were candidates to have that because first and foremost, even in Pop Warner, we were taught to lead with our head. In fact, when I got to Washington, they came out with bike helmets, and I remember we used to say we're going bike riding today because we were taught to lead with the crown of our helmet. Not there at the point now when I coach my grandson's football team, we teach them to keep the head out of the way, but we would always put our head in the front. Now we're teaching them to do the tackle with your head in the back and then reach and grab. Yeah. So everything changed.
Yeah.
Right. So were you?
But they have better helmets too. They have better helmets in Pop Warner than we did in the pros when I played.
So were you somebody that was personally affected by some of those issues?
I would say if you ask anyone that's played against me, they will say pound for pound I was one of the toughest guys they played against because I was never afraid to knock big guys down. I could generate such an inertia and force at the point of impact. I would always win most of those battles, and I knew that even growing up. So even when I got to the National Football League, I could still hit hard enough to knock bigger guys down.
And that's how you had to do because of your size. You had to come harder like that.
Yeah.
Well,
So what is life after football for you? What do you do in the
A lot of
community?
parties.
Yes. Yeah, you just party.
Nah,
you
you
just
know,
golf here and there.
I've always been an us and we kind of guy, and what I mean by that, I've always gotten involved with charities. I have people call me all the time to do things, and sometimes, if not for Dina keeping me straight, I bite off. I have a tendency to bite off more than I can chew.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's who I am. I think when you've been as fortunate as I have, and you can make a difference in another person's life, and if you have that time, why not?
Okay.
right.
So, anyways, as we wrap up, Mr. Nesby Glasgow here, I wanted to just let our viewers know that Nesby is the Heads Up Football Ambassador for this area for Washington State, which is fully funded by the NFL. He can come and visit a football team, a high school team, middle school team, or any football team.
Even
for a
Pop Warner
visit.
teams.
Pop Warner team for a visit for it's as little as 10 minutes or so, and he will come to you. You can make that arrangement through me. You can send me an email. I will put it in the thread, dinafinney@gmail.com. And make sure the subject line is Huff Football, HUF Football. And again, I will put in the comments. And I can make arrangement for him to visit your kid's school or football any day.
And I got two quick questions before you leave. Two quick questions before you leave. One, I do got to ask you real quick, just a quick thought about how you feel about the kneeling and the taking the knee and the protests that are going on right now in the league.
I think that's what makes us the greatest country in the world is that, we can call our president a son of a bitch and nothing will happen to us. In other countries, if you do that, you'll be in jail. And you may not never get out of jail. I think that when you look at the issues that have taken place recently, when you talk about what's going on in the black community, we still have a number of African Americans being killed. We had a police officer recently that got caught planting the gun because they only found that he had touched the gun. So, and then he still got off. He got fired, but point being is that it seems as though, every time an African American gets shot, the police officer gets off, no matter what. No matter what.
Right.
And,
So
you know...
So freedom of expression is something.
No,
that
no,
you
freedom
gotta
of
enforce.
expression, because if it was happening to white kids, we wouldn't be having this issue.
Right.
We would not be having this issue. They would be locked up. They'd be known to be policemen. They'd be in policemen. They'd be in jail.
Right.
But you know, we have an issue right now where we're being relegated to second-class citizens.
Oh, and that's why.
So I have a quick question, and we get on there. So if you were in today's locker room, would you have a problem if you had other teammates of white teammates that wouldn't join you maybe in the kneeling? Would you?
No,
Okay.
because once again, we are free to make those choices.
Either way.
You know,
Either way.
I'm not going to argue with them. You know, I'm going to respect their position,
Right.
and I want them to respect
And vice
mine.
versa.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know,
My-
don't say anything negative to me. I won't say anything negative to you. I'll respect what you're doing. You respect what I'm doing.
And that's freedom of speech. I got one more question. This will be the last one. When you're a member of two different teams in the NFL, like the Colts and the Seahawks, and when you see one just get completely annihilated by the other one, is it easier to have an allegiance to the other team at that point, the one that won? Is it easier to say I'm a Seahawk at that point when you see them just destroy the Colts the way they did yesterday? Was it just to be real? Let's hear it.
No.
You was a Hawk last night. Be real. You was a 12. You
Well,
was
no,
a 12.
of course I
He
was.
was there. He was
wanna
there.
be the
He was
12.
there. But
The
he was
Seahawks gave me
all
my
the way.
tickets.
He was blue and green.
You were in the
He was
shop.
blue and
Yeah.
green last night.
Okay.
Mr. Nesby Glasgow, we thank you very much.
Thank you,
It's
sir.
been a great
And
conversation
it
with
looks
you.
like from our viewers,
My
they
pleasure.
told us, like Nick says here, I got questions, but they'll take away from the actual topic. And admittedly, I'm trying to get to that. Bring you back is what they're saying.
And we definitely want him to
they
come back.
appreciate you.
I got
Thank you
time.
so much. I'll talk to you soon.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Mr. Nesby Glasgow.
Nesby
Thank you.
Glasgow,
Thank you.
alumni,
Thank you.
Seahawks, UW, Baltimore Colts, Indiana Colts.
Now
Thank you
we're
for joining us.
on to our next subject. We got two guests coming on.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. I'll see you soon.
Mañana.
All right.
Pleasure. You gotta take care.
We're getting ready, guys. We're going to go into our next subject.
Next
We're going to talk about
subject.
tipping etiquette.
That's right.
Tipping.
Take care.
Tipping. Who wants a tip? You want a tip?
I need a tip.
You want a tip? You
We all need a
tip.
tip.
I got a tip.
Have your lady sit.
That's what I answered.
Or maybe she can sit. Okay, we got to get closer here. Yep.
All right, so we got two friends with us. This is William and Ashley Willis.
no,
Aisha, sorry, Aisha. I'm all thrown off. This is one of them days today. William and Aisha Willoughby.
And Willie, can you tell them about your shop?
How you guys doing? King of the Hill Barbershop, right up the hill, 240th, across from McDonald's and Chevron. And my wife's shop over here, she has a unique style salon. Second and Meeker.
Okay. So we want to tackle this issue. Some people were asking me about certain things, and we always talk about tipping. We work in a barbershop. You're gonna talk about tipping. You know that for sure.
All right.
So what are some of our views on tipping? Let's start with Nicole. What do you think about tipping? How do you perceive tipping?
In regards to what aspect of tipping? There's
Service.
different matters.
It just matters.
I
in
believe
general.
that tipping is important because I don't want to cover you.
Yeah.
I believe it's important because it's a part of their pay, but I don't believe that it should be entitled. I believe that if you're going to get a tip, you better be providing that customer service that is entitled to that tip. Like, if you give me really crappy service, I'm not going to give you a 20% tip. So,
What's the average tip do you usually leave, even with great service?
I tip 20% if I can, but I don't go out because I can't afford to go out, let alone tip.
Yeah.
In the service industry, you guys will
In
be
your
the
service
ones to talk.
industry, I mean, you're working and it's like what's expected.
I don't expect anything. If
Okay.
someone's gonna tip me, it's gonna be because they feel like tipping me and I did a good job.
But I think it's a difference in the service industry too, because you guys are giving haircuts and styles, right? Versus a restaurant. Or a restaurant, they're getting
Well,
paid a
yeah.
lower hourly
Well,
rate.
service industry is really very broad.
Yeah.
We have
Yeah.
the food industry, which is like the restaurants, etc. And then you have, the food industry, but takeout. Do you still tip? You know what I'm saying? You're doing takeout. And then there's other
Yeah, I believe
industries.
in-
So we need to kind of like be more specific.
How-
So yeah, so I
So
was
if I-
referring
let's
to
say
like the food
restaurant-
industry,
Yeah,
food
restaurant
industry.
industry.
Yeah.
Yeah, food industry.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. I mean, shoot, yeah, I believe in tipping. I think if they do a good job, I still probably even tip when they don't do a good job. I know how hard that industry is. I know how hard people usually work and overwhelmed they get. Multiple tables, multiple things going on.
Yeah.
Man, give them 20%.
Yeah.
Whereas, there's a lot of people that work and they depend on tips to live. You working a certain job.
Well, for me, I mean, it's different percentages, okay, that I give. All right.
Okay.
So let me start with, restaurants. It's like restaurants, sit down dinner, you're expecting a service and whatnot. I generally tip 15%. Rarely will they get less than 15%, but if I get crappy service, there was one place where they couldn't get anything right from my order. I ordered chicken wings. I want flats only. How many does it come with? It comes in 9. Can you just give me all flats? And then they came with 4 flats and 5. And guess what? I sent it back. Can you tell the chef, does he not understand what I want? I'll take the 4 and don't serve me 9 and it's sitting here. I didn't tip her. Because they can't do anything.
I know you should have
No,
tipped
they
her
can't
something.
do anything.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Well,
That's cold. I mean,
hold on.
Well, and that's
But you have to remember, Barry, I tip 20% in general. Sometimes when we went to Trinity, check out how much I tip.
Well,
I tip like.
I got a question real quick.
I tip like closer to 40%.
Lydia, I got a question and I think this is directed towards people who are receiving the tips. Do you think that tips should be taxed?
No, absolutely not.
They are doing that. They are doing that.
Well, it's part of
So
their
you think
income,
about
Part of their
especially in the
income, yeah.
restaurant industry.
But it's a gift, isn't it? It's like
No,
you did a good
it's
job.
no, because they're getting paid a lower hourly rate because
That's
the
the reason why. The
industry's
tips
expecting the tips to be
to
the other part
compensate
of
for the
their.
rest of it.
So yeah, they should be taxed on it. Now
Do you
we
think
all
it should
know
be that way,
I'm
though?
an accountant by trade, and we all know that people do not tax their tips.
Well,
Oh, that's not true. That's not true. All my tips. But all my-
if it's a credit card transaction, there's a trail of paper. You will see that
Yeah,
somewhere.
that's
But
the
if
only
it's
one
cash,
they-
but if it's cash, boy, you
Under
can
the
hide it
table.
under the table.
What you think?
There's two sides of it, especially when it comes to being on the professional side where you're providing a service. Not every single day are we at work busy, nonstop, making money. So when you take, perhaps a 40-hour week and a couple slow days and over the time, well, now I feel like I'm a server. I'm not making too much when you spread it out over time.
So
you want that
So
tax?
I can use that taxed tip.
So you think it should be an expectation?
So you think
it should be an
but
expectation?
you're
I don't think it should be an expectation.
But your industry is like you're a barber, right?
Yes,
So
I'm a barber.
so that's okay.
But I just mean to say there's slow times as well, so that it's not like even though barbers predominantly get paid cash, and on a busy Friday or something, people see that all the time. Now, I think sometimes you think barbers do well because of that non-stop cash, but it's not non-stop. There's slow days, and so when you have those slow days, tips definitely help out. And when your barber goes above and beyond to get you right,
When
take
you
care
don't have
of
an
you,
appointment, you come in on a walk-in, or you have an expectation.
Stay late. Stay
Huh?
late. You ask another time to get your haircut changed differently because you're not happy with the
4 or
way it
5
was the
times,
first time,
yeah.
Well, let me ask you guys this, and I probably could ask my stylist too, but she
Okay.
probably wouldn't want to tell me the truth.
Okay. We're not going to.
Like no, like in the restaurant industry, clearly they're providing a physical service. Like they're
yes.
serving you
Yep.
at the table, coming
Yep.
back, checking
Yep.
on you, whatever. But in the hair industry, barbering, massage, like all these other industries, I feel like you guys are probably getting
Yeah.
more than your cost in your
Yeah.
service
That's not true.
fee, right?
No.
I mean, how much does it, when you give a haircut,
Mhm.
how much expense goes into that
It's not
haircut?
expense, it's a skill set that you're paying for. You're paying for a particular, let's say, a certain style that you want or whatnot. That
For the
goes with experience, exactly, experience. It's your time. You still have to do something with your hands. It's actual hands-on.
So,
Sweat equity. Sweat equity goes
as professionals in that industry, barbershop, stylist, anything with hair,
Well,
what do you
like-
guys expect? I mean, what do you guys expect? Is
You
it
should get
10%? Is it 15 to 20?
Will,
I
tell
mean,
them
20%. Okay, a haircut. I charge $20, and I would
So
say
you're
the
expecting about
average.
another
I
20,
think,
another $4 in tip.
I think the average person would give you the extra $5.
Okay.
They give me that 25 almost every
Okay.
time.
If I'm breaking that,
I'm
I'm gonna give you that 5 anyway. That's just how.
at least that 5.
Oh, at
There's-
least.
I'm just saying, there's guys who they really love the way that chin strap come out.
Yeah,
And
right.
just,
How about a regular? How about somebody that comes to once a week? Do you expect a tip from somebody?
That's a tough one with me because I do appreciate the regulars, especially the weeklies. They're coming every week. It's $80 a month. that's 500. You know,
Tell me what you
so
want to.
I do understand that they're spending some money with you, but at the same time, I think they should still tip you. I think they should still show you that this $20 that covers your house bills, that covers your time, that covers everything. Just like if they went to Master Cuts or something, which is I'm sure charges almost the same price, if not more. They're gonna tip there.
But
Do you-
but
It
might not
here's
even
my
be a
thing
great
about that.
bet.
Let me
Go ahead.
So some of these people work for somebody, so the rates are set and they don't get that in their pocket. But if you own your own salon and you can make the calls of what the cost is for everything like that, do you still expect 20%? I mean, because like,
No,
I mean,
I heard
you're not
someone
paid
say
by
that
the
they don't tip
hour.
the owner.
You're-
I heard that before.
Yeah,
Someone said,
I don't
"Why
believe in
you
that.
tip
That's
the
a
owner?"
garbage.
It's like,
I'm just-
the owner works 10 times as hard as anybody
Well,
else
yeah,
here.
'cause okay, so my stylist, and I'll put it out there, my hair cost me with tip, 20% tip, $360
Oh
to
my
get it done.
goodness.
But that's because I
Get her number.
actually,
Get her number.
I actually, well, that's more expensive than what I normally do because I stripped it out and it got purple. There's a lot that goes into it, right? Because you do hair. And so I know that the product that she used on my hair did not cost $360, right?
No.
But her time
Her time,
is valuable
yeah.
because she's on her feet all day, but she's
Yeah.
also the owner, so
Mhm.
she's got overhead expenses. So yeah, I think it does play a part in whether you're the owner or not the owner. But I don't think that the owner should get tipped less because they're providing the exact same service that someone who's a booth renter would.
I think
If not more.
If not more,
If not more, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Shop. Yeah, they shouldn't get tipped less just because they're the owner.
Do you tip? I have somebody ask me this. Do you tip like everything? I mean, so I know some people that they tip any type of manual or service, any type of service they get, they tip. Is there certain industries that you tip and other industries you don't? Like you go to a hotel. Like I sometimes tip the hotel clerk,
Okay, so
Well, I think that's
let's take
expected.
some of these comments
I think that's
here.
expected.
but some people don't.
It
know,
says here, okay, let's go back
That's
to
how you
Nick
get extra
here.
room.
I
So
just
you're doing
need to
it.
bring up
So
my
when
own
you're
stuff, so I don't
tipping,
have to
you're
tip.
tipping. It's called tipping for benefit, I guess.
Yeah, you
Do you tip because you want to be
You
nice?
hope
or
an X
you-
something in
are you-
return?
Yeah, are you tipping for benefit? So,
I do believe that you get better service if you do tip.
oh, absolutely. That's just what
Well,
it is.
Especially in the hotel
It's a
industry.
city.
Well, there's a lot of comments here,
Oh,
and we're
okay.
gonna go back to that hotel part because we now just discussed the food industry and then
No, I just
also
said
the
everything. I opened it up.
barber
Okay,
shop.
let's go.
It's different things actually.
Uh-uh.
So right here,
Services.
Lydia, do you think tips should be taxed? We discussed that. Joseph Higgins, 20% for places where I'm repeat, especially, of course. Don't want tourists to get that side eye or less than quality service. For new places, it's based on service quality. Nick said it's just a good thing to do when it comes to the food industry. Those folks bust their asses and get paid almost nothing. Tip those folks. Even when service is whack, I still tip. Hell us. Black people's already are faced with the stigma of being the ones who don't tip.
And we got to get on that. We got to talk about that because that is a.
And then Lydia says, I don't get paid a low hourly wage. They still tax my tips.
Isn't that
Okay.
true?
What does she do?
What does she do? I don't know.
Services sometimes, like she said, like
Yeah.
you tell somebody
And then-
one thing, and
No,
then
what
they
did
try
you
something
Do something totally different.
Okay, so Tyrone Davis said, I have given tips for horrible service just because I am black. Okay. And Joe Higgins, Barry, I'm sure you give extra care to the heads of the guys who tip well, right?
Yeah.
And then Nick Jones says, what for? So he says,
Yeah.
having worked as a paralegal 5 years ago, I worked for an employment law attorney. The airport was being sued because they wanted to tax the tips, but these employees needed that money to pay their benefits, food, and other necessities because the wages were low. Tips are very important to me. And then Joe Higgins again, Nick, you're about to get cussed out. You better stop it.
No, yeah.
And so then Lydia says, I expect 20 to 40 per client. My work charges an automatic 20% gratuity. It's usually around 30. I think that's fair. Well, for a massage therapist. Oh, Lydia, okay. So you expect to be tipped 20 to 40 out of per massage.
For a
Okay.
massage therapist. Yeah.
And then Nick said, I don't give a fuck. That's crazy. All right. That's all the comments. And
I think
so-
that for me, being somebody who I'm not in that service industry or something like that, the way I look at tips, you guys are talking about owners, people behind the scenes, all that stuff like that. For me, I mean, I understand that that's all a part of it. I just kind of look at who I'm dealing with. So if you're working on me and you did a good job, I'm gonna give you what that extra is right there. That's how I look at it. I'm not looking at the building and all this stuff like that.
15%.
To be honest, I'm gonna give you what I got. I don't really. I mean, when I'm in a restaurant with a bunch of people, I'll be like, "Hey, what am I supposed to get for this?
Yeah.
What's the rate? What
Pull
it
out
is?"
the calculator.
I do that. I do the calculator.
So
What
I
it is,
just
you gonna
wanted
get
to,
that.
because I travel a lot and I'm not originally from here, so I have experienced, other countries in the world. In Denmark, for example, the wages are high and they don't expect you to tip. FYI, just FYI.
I'm going to Denmark.
And well, yeah, the minimum
but
wage over there is $20, so they don't, the service industry actually get high pay. So, anyways, that's that. And this is the U.S. It's customary. So, if your country where you live, like the U.S., it's customary to tip like 15% or expected, then yes, of course, we're gonna tip at least 15%. But in general, I tip 20. I tip for like you order pizza to go, you tip, and any restaurant to go, you tip a little because even though you take it out,
That's if the service is good, though. If you've been slacking all night, you ain't
Yeah,
getting that.
well,
I'm sorry. If you've been sitting up there and
Yeah,
I
if
see
you're
you
not-
walk by my table 4, 5 different times, you ain't looking at me, ain't even got me a little extra
Okay.
water in the cup, you ain't getting no tip, man.
Okay. Yeah.
You ain't getting no tip.
It's not happening.
Yeah.
Here's a tip. Do better next time. That's a tip.
So you tip for good
here's
service,
a
or
tip.
do you tip for good service, or you tip
I tip for
with
good
the
service.
expectations of?
I'm a good
Me,
service.
I rarely not tip. You gotta really piss me off and not do anything right for that whole.
So you
thing
should
you're
always
doing.
tip at least 10%.
Me, it's
Well,
opposite.
no,
It's a
if
slippery
they
slope for
really
me.
did
You want
not,
that
I
tip.
did not have a great experience in their restaurant, which is very rare because I give them the opportunity to correct what they're missing. I would be like, can you please be more attentive? Can you please give us water when we ask you? Can you please do this? It's not like, heck, sometimes it's not a very difficult request. Just separate these things. I don't want this there. Can you or can you not put onions in my salad? That's very simple. And if you still
put the onions in there,
you don't
get no tip.
It's always the people that say I'm not very difficult, but they
No,
are
it's
very
not.
difficult. You know what I'm saying? Am I right?
No, what I'm saying, no.
Can you imagine her?
Oh, it's
You know,
just so you know, I eat
Say,
out
you
a
don't
lot.
remember,
I
right?
travel a lot.
that's
She
true.
travels a
I
lot.
travel a lot.
Right.
Standards are high.
I write reviews for
You gotta be an
advisors for all the restaurants and places I go to. So
Okay.
I give them a chance to correct what they are lacking in the service that I'm expecting.
You give them
And-
that chance?
And I'm still there. If they cannot correct it before I leave, they don't deserve a tip.
What
You
about
gotta correct it.
this is a
You know what I'm
question
saying?
that I
All right,
always
all right,
ask.
I give them a chance. I'm not the one who's gonna complain like, hey, I didn't get it. Oh, I'm just gonna write 0. I give them a chance. Sometimes I get to the point where I can ask if you can't serve me, can somebody else serve me? Because I don't want them spitting on my food
Right,
or
right,
dipping
right.
their
Hold on,
finger
Nicole,
in my
Nicole.
drink, right?
Hold on, Nicole.
So, what about like if you get horrible service? At what point do you either not tip or do you tip less? But do you let the manager know so that the manager
That's a
can
good
help
point.
them improve? Because it's not fair to just be like, well, I don't like your service sucks, so I'm going to give you a crappy tip. Yes, you have the right to do that because I've done that too. But at what point do you take initiative to help this person become better?
I think on the second time I see
Nicole,
it.
Nicole, I just answered that earlier. Like I said, I give them the opportunity
But what's
to
the
correct.
opportunity?
No,
I
I
will
mean,
let them know, like, excuse me,
But
this is
some
what I
people
asked.
just don't.
So, because, like, for example, I do not like to write, I write a lot of reviews for TripAdvisor. I'm the travel diva because I travel a lot and review a lot of restaurants.
Yeah.
I give them the opportunity because once I write it, once I post it, there's no way for me to retrieve that. So I give them an opportunity to correct what is missing, what I'm expecting. And if they still don't do that, I will write a review and then they will start responding.
yeah,
which
but
is too
I'm
late
talking
at that
about
point.
I'm talking about on a bigger
On a
spectrum. Like,
yeah.
what if the person just doesn't know how to be a good server, or what if they're still
You-
learning?
I got a comment that goes to that.
It's like we should take initiative to help them become better by
And that's
letting their
exactly-
manager
yep.
know, look, I tipped your server
That's true.
10%, and this is why. I would like you to help them to
I think we're so
become
quick
better.
to write
So
bad
that
reviews or
next
say
time-
somebody's bad service
Yeah,
without giving
we're
them an
always-
opportunity to
I got-
change
I got-
Us
what
in
their service
society are
is. And
always
sometimes,
so quick to criticize somebody, but not help them become better.
Bridge
Well, here's a
Bridge
comment
the
though.
gap.
Here's a comment though. There's Joseph
Okay.
Higgins. I gotta get this
Okay.
comment because it goes right with it. He said, "I ain't got no time to be coaching folks. What I look like." LOL. And I feel you,
What?
Joseph. I ain't coaching you. I'm not coaching you. This is your job. If you can't do your job, you ain't getting no money.
Talks to him like that, he's poisoning
You ain't getting no money.
Oh.
Put that poison in there.
Oh.
I
That's
ain't
the thing
talking
about
like
it. It's like
that.
they're
Oh,
poisoning.
oh,
They're
oh,
poisoning
Okay,
me.
but you know what? No, Joseph. Okay.
I feel you,
listen,
Joseph.
We were just talking about this earlier.
What I look like,
The
Pat
nice
Riley?
thing
This is
about-
why I don't
about-
go to those cheap places where they might poison me.
What it is
No.
always a cheap place.
Now the cheap place-
Normally they don't care
Denny's?
about the reviews. No, sometimes
He is very
yes,
innocent.
I don't go there.
Denny's? He is very innocent.
It's been like 15
Hey,
years when
what
I
is
last
cheap
was
place?
at Denny's because I sat next to this guy and his pomade was dripping and he was
as a server?
No.
Hey man,
Like I said,
How about
I
this
eat out a
stigma? How
lot,
about this
and
stigma?
you could visit my page.
how come the stigma is that
Which
black
one
people
I-
are cheap?
Look! See, hold on, wait a minute now. This is another one.
I'm just saying what it's
Hold on,
Hey, have you not heard that?
They
Hold on.
say that black folks are cheap.
Have you heard that, Will?
A black
No, man, check it out
I
though.
say that's a stigma.
It ain't a stigma. It ain't a stigma. Look, a lot of black folks, we come from some hard times. Okay, we come from hard times. Our money is precious to us. When we get a little bit, we wanna spend it on what we really want to spend it on. And if you ain't doing your job, I'm giving you extra money. That's just how I
You're
look
not
at it.
helping your.
That's
You're
it.
not helping people.
I don't help my people.
Okay.
No, I don't help
Hold
my
on.
guys. How can I help? I don't need to help my people. That's the truth. That's the truth. If we come from, we respect our money. You know what I'm saying?
That don't have nothing to do with
It's
it.
all talk about.
Okay, we respect our money, okay, but at the same time, like we still gotta take care of everybody. So
for sure.
I mean, I think the only way we gonna break that stigma is by daily just doing what we do.
Absolutely.
Go out here. Went to a wonderful restaurant yesterday, Bourbon Street Cafe.
Where's that at?
Bar and grill.
in
In
Puyallup.
Tell us about
Very
it. See?
good. I mean, great service. I mean, everything
the
was
owner?
on point.
See, that sounds like somebody I give a tip to, though.
Music, everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
I asked for some beignets. He
Nice.
he whispered over into the other dude. Came out with some pecan pie and beignets.
Exactly.
I had one of those
You know,
for the
like-
first time in New Orleans.
But that sounds like something I
So-
give a tip
also,
to.
of course,
Wait,
I'm
time
like,
out.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Will,
On
we work in a
everything.
barbershop, right?
Yeah.
You give good service,
Yep.
and you don't get the tip. Does it?
It's true. Sometimes, I'll go above and beyond to get the guy exactly what he needs. And, he just like me exactly what I guess I'm supposed to, what I charge. And that's why I have a tough time. Because I want to charge more sometimes because I know what kind of service I provide. But then at the other side, it's like I like to be able to make sure that that people feel comfortable being able to come. That everybody
Yeah,
feels
because
me.
you could
I don't
be
want
business doing
to limit
that.
myself.
You gotta be
basically,
competitive too
gotta
out
be
there.
competitive.
Yep.
So
I
At
mean,
the
I-
same time, you have to charge what you're worth.
It is true.
That's where I
It is
agree
true.
with. You gotta make a stand though.
So is it better just to charge more and be okay with never expecting a tip just because you get?
Well,
exactly
okay,
what
like
you
in the service
charge?
industry, I'll give our business when somebody comes in and you're about to close up. Shouldn't you charge more?
Yeah.
But
If
you
it's
don't-
if it's after your closing hours, yeah.
Yeah, but you have people come in and want to just give you the
That's
amount
true.
or say,
That's very
make it
true.
like you're lucky
Yeah.
that they're coming in. That's not
No.
my
I
time.
had a
is-
gentleman. I had a gentleman come in just the other day.
It's barber
and-
tales,
and
guys.
It
Barber
was
tales.
just a situation. End of the day, trying to leave, and he's like, "Well, should I take my business elsewhere?" And
See,
to me, like he thought, I kind of felt like you thought
You
he started
insulted.
insulting me. Like
Yeah.
he's like, I just got done working all day. I'm not really tripping off this right now. And you've been coming to me, so it's not like it's.
Had it been
Look.
another business, it would be closed, right? So they
There
just
would
walk
be no-
away.
And that's what I'm saying.
The pho restaurant ain't going, pour me up another bowl.
Yeah.
When I come at 9:10,
Exactly.
That's one of the-
They
and
just
that's
say
one of the-
close.
they wouldn't give it to you to go.
But that's one of the complaints sometimes they say that black people don't,
Yeah.
black consumers don't respect black businesses. Because when you go to another business, when they say they're closed at 9, they're closed at 9
But
o'clock.
it's
Yeah.
not just black
Don't make
people.
I
it-
think
No,
that's
no.
everywhere.
Yeah.
though.
It's not.
That's
It's your
everywhere.
people. It's your people that
It's
don't
just
know the
people in
etiquette
general.
that if
Yeah.
it's
People
closed,
that
it's
just feel
closed.
like
People
they're
always
entitled.
gonna try to get that extra.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
that feel that they're entitled.
Right. They always gonna get it. And let me clear something up too. I want to clear something up because you.
Then you said you don't like tipping.
No,
Uh-huh.
no,
Ah,
no,
ah.
Hold on. Do I sound like somebody who likes tipping? I don't think I gave that impression. I don't think I gave that impression. I don't sound like somebody who likes tipping.
Women ain't there to turn off the
How-
light with a guy.
No.
And the guy don't tip.
No. See, stop. This is what I gotta clear up.
That's a great question.
That should be the question.
Hold on.
You go out with some, I get turned off. I go out with a woman and she don't tip.
Hold up. This is
tip.
let me clear this up. Again, just because I don't like tipping, I like spending money. I can be getting a big screen.
Lord.
I can get a big screen TV. I don't want the big screen TV. I want to pay the money for it.
It's
But
parking
I'm
like
doing it.
4 blocks
I'm doing
away
it.
instead of paying for parking.
Look, hey, look, I'm a walk. I'm just be real. I pay $20. I ain't paying $20 for no parking. I ain't got to. So what I'm saying is this. What I'm saying is this.
Don't hold money like that, man.
What I'm saying is this. I don't mind tipping. You gave a beautiful example of a place that did you great.
They earned
I feel good about giving a tip for that. Okay, if somebody gives me the best haircut that I wanted, I'm going to give them that tip, no problem. I'm going to be happy about it. So don't get me wrong, it ain't that. What I'm saying is, you guys talking about coaching people and maybe you can do this and that. No, I ain't got time for that. You didn't do me the service right. It's your job. You ain't getting no tip. And I don't like giving tips, but I'm going to give tips to good service.
Hey,
So
the more
if you work
experience you
in-
got, the better you
But
are.
if you work in
If you gave me decent service and you were a good person about it, I'm gonna give you a tip. All right, that's what I'm saying. You ain't gotta knock it out the park every time.
Yeah.
But if you just did your job and you was good, I'm gonna give you a tip. I don't like doing it, but I'm gonna still do it just because it's supposed to be done.
you don't like doing it, it means you don't want it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That don't mean nothing.
Well,
It
in
means I
general,
don't like
it's like
it.
the etiquette of it should be
Right.
like I said, we all agree this.
But you know what? I have to say something that's going to be a little bit like motivational here, and like maybe not on the level that you guys want to hear. But Joseph says he don't got time to coach people. Well, everyone wants to complain about what our society is like and what our world is like. Well, guess what? The change comes from us, and every person does have an impact in the world. And if we want to have a better world, it starts with us. So you have to be the change that you want to see in the world. So if you don't have time to coach people, then don't complain about our world.
There you go, Joseph. You got called on by Nicole. And I'm gonna answer what Nick said. What Nick said here.
Terry needs some coaching. Lydia, help him. This is your help him out. Coach him
help
out.
him, coach him.
Coach him
Anyways,
what? My
I
God, don't
need
keep
to
money with me.
I need to address Nick's comment here from previously. Okay. You
Terry
first,
telling on
Joseph.
himself.
I keep telling too. You ain't getting a dime from me. You ain't doing the service right. Not a dime.
All the people
I can't
that
find
Not
say
a dime.
don't find Terry, be like,
Not a dime.
Oh, and Lydia called him out. Terry don't like tipping, laugh my AO.
She knows it, but I do it. She didn't say I don't. She just said I don't like it.
But I can say
I'm not sitting up here and lie and say I
used
like
to
it.
never be a big tipper at all.
But
Oh
till
my
you got
God.
My wife
Joseph,
I
in
used
your
to not
dreams.
tip.
Coach,
I never tip.
hold on, let's hear this. Hold on. Say this again. Let
When
me
we
hear this.
started dating, hey, she would be looking over my shoulder and I see that, and she'd be like, give me a little nudge. And I'm
Because
like,
that tells a
okay.
lot about a person, I
Okay.
think. I think it tells a lot
Yeah.
about a
Oh,
person.
I mean,
Wasn't-
especially if somebody.
That's
It
gonna
wasn't
keep me front,
until-
Barry.
It wasn't until I started cutting hair. And I appreciated what a tip
Good
did
job, young lady.
on everything. And then it just, now, but it,
Does tipping tell?
it comes back around though.
Shut up.
It comes back around both sides.
That's gonna bury me
Terry,
front.
Like I said,
The more you
it's
tip,
good
you
to
get
do
$20
it.
over
back.
Yeah.
The more you tip, the more
You
you
gotta
get
remember,
back.
it's gonna go around, but it's gonna come back in.
Come back to you.
Right.
Right there.
That is so true, though. To me, it is. It tells a lot about when you go out with somebody whether or not they are a giver or a taker, right?
Should you be fronting, B?
What is it called, fronting? That's who you are.
Let me go ahead and drop this 100 right here. That's how I do.
Just hold
That's how I
it.
do.
Just
You
hold
know what I'm
it.
saying? That's how I do. You know, you
Hey,
got
this is the
that.
difference.
I
When you
think-
go to a spot, people remember when you tip well.
They do.
I think
They do.
I think
Right?
tipping
When
can
people-
also be viewed as like for people who work in like corporate America, like I used to. You get your praise at the end of the year when you get your raise, and that's where you get all the praise. You get all the kudos. You know, good job. We're gonna give you some more money. But as a service industry worker or a salon owner or barber shop owner, you don't have someone giving you a raise every time you do good, and so people tipping is kind of your way of saying, hey, thanks for the great service, you did a great job. And that can also, on the other side, be like where you guys would say, am I doing something wrong? Or am I doing something good? Like if I'm getting a lot of tips, then I must be doing something right. But if I'm not getting tipped, light bulb should go on and be like, what can I do better? What can I do to fix this?
You know what? That's a good.
I need a coach.
Hold on, Lydia.
Coach him up.
Lydia did this thing last week. She had a customer, a client that came in, and she's a massage therapist. So she had a customer, and you know, she was actually not supposed to. It was somebody else's, but somebody else had to go home. So she took somebody in, and she gave them a massage. I'm sorry if I'm boring you, Dina, but I'm gonna just go ahead and keep the story going. So anyway, so she had a customer. Okay,
Who?
the customer came in. Lydia had a customer. And she was doing a massage for her, and it was for somebody else that had to take off from her job.
Okay, she's
so
filling in
she
for
filled in
her
for somebody.
massage
And so they start talking, and then, you know, she's giving it, and you know, her and the lady just started talking and bonded, and they shared a couple of different life experiences together and things like that, and it was just a really beautiful time that the two of them had together. Anyway, turns out the lady had a lot of money, left her a $300 tip. Okay, and this is
I think I saw her post about that the other day.
a $300 tip. So there are going to be those times if you do give the good service to somebody, she's not expecting. Like I said, she expected maybe the $20 at most because that's what is customary. So she wasn't expecting much. She was just there being herself and having a good time conversating with somebody, sharing something. And she just spoke to this lady, and the lady was going through a tough time, and it was something that the lady needed to hear. And she turned around and blessed her in a major way. So I mean, that's the beauty of something like tipping. Now, all jokes aside, it is for me. I do not mind if somebody is really. I've tipped good before when somebody's really helped me out. You know what I mean? I needed a haircut one time, and somebody came in their shop, and they gave me a haircut and hooked me up.
Time.
You know what I'm saying? Right.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a time for it. All jokes aside.
And technically, you posted with that.
It shouldn't kick in.
Yeah, because you're doing something out of the ordinary for somebody. So yeah.
Right. Well, but it wasn't.
Shop or something like
It
that.
wasn't under those pretenses though. For me, it wasn't like because this is their extra. They need to get. It was just for me. Like, man, you looked me up, man. Good looking.
Oh, we got a lot of questions.
Yeah. But anyways, like I said, I mean, tipping, is predominant in the U.S. I grew up in, a different country, etc. I grew up in the service industry. I worked for a hotel, so I'm gonna give a tip on tip in hotels. So in hotels, since that was my first job at 16 years old, when I stay at hotels, the very next day, I tip $5 for the housekeeper. You know why? Because then your room gonna get clean. You can request extra shampoo, extra lotion, and then you'll be taken care of. That's a tip on tip. Tip the housekeeper when you're staying at hotels the very first day.
And tip the hotel clerk. You always get upgraded usually.
I don't know about that, but definitely the house.
If they're on that pole, how much you tip? Never mind. I ain't gonna.
On the pole?
We ain't gonna
Daisy.
You know what I'm
What's up,
saying?
Daisy?
Hi,
I'm just saying. They work for tips all day. They work for tips all day.
Hi, Sing. And then do you want to read Sing and Daisy's? Because I've been talking too much, I think. Read their comments, Daisy and Sing.
Reggie. Urban Lounge. What's up, Funk? One of the best DJs. Funk Daddy.
Well, Sing said tipping equals whatever service you got. And then Greg, DJ Urban Lounge.
Urban Lounge.
Doing it. Urban Lounge.
Old school.
Daisy, when I receive good service and everything was on point, I tip it generously. But if it's the opposite, you get the minimum. Not only that, your tip matters, but you also become recognized to the host, bartender.
I agree. I think when you're on a date, I notice it. I don't know. Would you notice it?
Yep.
Would you notice it? You going? I'm just saying hypothetically. Women, I don't know if women notice it, but I know guys.
And then Sing said, I oftentimes leave a note that explains my tip or lack thereof. So that's another tip on tip. Tip on tip.
What?
Sing said, I oftentimes leave a note that explains my tip or lack thereof. Yeah. I normally put some smiley
You
faces.
probably want to tell the manager. I think the manager.
Hey, as a teacher moment, you talk about teaching somebody. Here's why I didn't leave you the tip. This is why. You know what I'm saying? You might want to get that together, and I'm gonna be back next time.
Yeah,
To check
but I feel you on that. Is that it?
Yeah.
And I think leaving a Yelp review is cool, but I mean think about this for a second.
Okay.
You're putting it out there for the entire world to see, and what if the person was having a bad day and you've just given her or him a huge horrible review?
Okay.
And I mean, it's we always want to go put negative stuff out there. Why not help the person become better?
But here's my thing about Yelp, okay? Because when I run the Stone Lounge, the Yelp reviews, the Yelp reviews are very biased. First, they let you, bias against the, if you're the business. Because if you get bad reviews and you don't advertise with Yelp, the bad reviews will be in the top search. And then it will cover the good reviews. And that's why I don't normally do the reviews in Yelp.
Well, I'm just saying in general, not specifically Yelp, but that's what was mentioned. But just in general, I mean, imagine if it was your job and you're in the corporate world and someone's complaining to you, to your boss, and I mean, someone's complaining about you, because it happens. I've been in the corporate world, and it sucks. It sucks to be in that place where anybody can affect your job. And I would rather somebody come to me and say, Nicole, I really think that you should do this differently or something. Be an adult about it. We're all freaking grown-ups, okay?
Yeah. That's serious. Again, it goes back to what I said earlier about when you go to a restaurant and it's not up to par of what you're expecting. You can ask them nicely. You know? Because when you ask them nicely, I ask them nicely because I don't want to rat them out. First, I need to have them the opportunity to fix it. And then if they still did not fix this, can I see your manager, please? Because obviously the first step is telling them, right?
Yeah.
So that they can fix it. So that I don't normally do bad reviews. If they fix it right then when I'm still there, I don't do bad reviews. I rarely do bad reviews. But if I do, you must not have done anything right with my visit.
Hey,
That's
look,
all
All right,
that-
question.
How about this?
How about this?
Uh-oh.
You're at a restaurant
Yes,
and your server spills your beverage over.
that's an accident.
Yeah, that's
So
That's an accident.
yeah.
That happens
That's
to
an
my
accident.
daughter.
And
How
basically
many
what-
times though? Do they keep doing stuff
Basically,
like that?
Yeah.
it's an
I mean, you
accident.
just know they're kind of
yeah,
like a clumsy
well, no.
type person. Just did not.
It's
know,
an
they
accident.
just
I
said
will
it.
understand. Accident happen. We're not perfect, and normally what a normal business would do as a good gesture is like, let me
Compliment
cover
or
your food.
yeah,
Let me
something.
cover a dessert. Is there anything we can do for you?
But what if they don't do none of that?
We ain't covering no hairstyle.
If
Are
you
you
do,
covering?
if you're in a nice suit, they normally will offer, hey, can I offer a dry cleaning for your suit or something like that, or can I give you a $25 gift certificate for you to come back, because you know some gestures like
or
that.
even
that's
how the
understandable.
person who does it responds, like if they feel like super apologetic, because that happened at the Mongolian Grill. My daughter was like 18 months old, and the lady dumped ice water on my baby, and she was like, ah!
Ooh.
And you know, but she was super embarrassed. She was super
She didn't
apologetic.
mean
Yeah, it was an accident, so I'm not gonna get all freaked out on her. It
Oh,
was
yeah,
my
it's good. We gotta
luckily,
understand.
lucky for her, it was my third baby, not my first.
Oh wow.
Okay,
Where there was a question from Lydia.
Yeah, go ahead. That was
Mom,
what I was
like,
gonna do.
Lydia asked.
And direct this to the husband and wife.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Lydia asked. I
The
think.
first married couple on the show.
Okay, do you think men get tipped better than women, or vice versa? That's a question for
We're
one
gonna
of our
ask you
viewers.
too.
What do you think?
What do you guys
Be
think?
real now.
I don't know.
Oh, I say automatically. I think I won't say men or women. Honestly, I'd say the opposite sex is tipped better.
So women might tip you better than a man will definitely tip her better.
Mhm.
Okay, I got you. I can see that.
Or do you
I
think it? Or do
That's
you
just
think?
me. That's just how I feel. I feel like, especially
Uh.
working in some barbershops where there's a lady right next to you, and you've cut that exact man more than 5 times, and he goes sits over to her and tips her.
And
more.
then she also
Ooh,
asked,
uh-oh.
do you think one
And you
race
know that
tips
her-
better
I
than
mean-
the other?
Huh?
The follow-up question is, do you think one race tips better than the other?
Yeah, that's what
Well, we already talked about that earlier.
No, but you guys didn't really say what race tips the best.
I don't go around looking at rate tip.
Oh, I don't wanna-
statistics, So I
No,
don't
but he-
Here's what I think.
I would say
Here's
if the
what I
guys
think.
don't like my answer.
Here's what I think. If
Who you think? What
someone,
race
if
tips
someone, I don't think it's about the race. I think it's about if someone
Race.
had worked in the
Race.
industry, whether it's when they're young or whatever, they tend to tip well because they know how it's like to be in that industry.
Mhm.
That's what I'm saying. Those people who have never worked in the industry don't know how to tip, don't know how to appreciate the people that give service.
I think it is so. I think it is.
Yeah.
It's taught at home too.
Yep.
You know, because I've seen some parents. Yeah, very.
So you guys asked about whether females get tipped better versus males. What about if a male is tipping a female or a female is tipping a male?
That was what they said. They think that
Oh, I thought it was
he
just-
think no. He said that they think that the opposite sex will tip the other better. So
That's how I feel.
Joseph Egan said, Barry, be honest, who's the best
In terms of race.
in terms of race?
Hmm.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't want to say.
Be real.
I don't want to say. Will.
Oh,
I don't want to. Will. Be honest. Will. Will, they going to race.
Oh man. Ooh.
Do you guys really
That's
pay that
tough.
close attention?
Yeah,
Yeah, well, you see it,
unfortunately,
you see it.
yeah,
You
don't
might
have to
notice
pay
it.
attention.
You don't have to
Is
say.
that
It's
obvious?
obvious.
It is that
It's
obvious
obvious.
because you feel appreciated by that person by that gesture.
Ooh,
You really
Will.
who is it?
I
Who
would
is
really
it?
understand.
Who is it? Wow.
Will.
You're
Okay,
making
well, I
a-
would
reason
say,
why I brought
I
you
would
on the
say,
show.
I'll say this. Predominantly, my customer base isn't mostly black. I will say that.
It's
So,
not?
it's not.
Oh, okay.
So, you know,
So your results would be skewed anyway.
Yeah, right,
yeah,
no,
yeah, I know.
He'd just be a little
No,
slick.
when he-
I will say, you know, yeah, I'll say mostly.
Okay, so
white
did you
people,
more
man, they
tips?
pick me up, man. I ain't gonna lie, man. They take care of me.
The white people?
Mhm.
Yeah!
I ain't gonna lie.
Score one for the
You
white
see
guys.
BMW?
I'm never white
Hey, Will
I
had
cut
a
straight hair very well, so
We got
you know
one.
it
Hey,
just works out. But
Will-
they do.
Will
they
had a shop here for what, 2 years? And always driving BMW. Man, tell him, Will. Come on, stop playing.
It's awesome.
Mess around with the white
I
folks.
love barbering. But
How long have you been
I
doing
mean, huh?
How long have you been doing it?
Like 4 years maybe.
Oh.
So it's.
I can buy the barbers is bald.
it's-
I don't know.
I like to spend
They don't
time
buy
with everybody
something
else's hair, not my own.
Right.
You know, I
Yeah.
make money that way.
Yeah.
I'm everybody come on.
I've seen hairstylists who have bad hair.
I can grow it, but I just decided not. No, I'm playing. I can't grow it.
You have no
I
hair.
know.
No, but it's on
You're
on
being
everything.
safe.
I have
You're very
guys
safe.
of all races that you know.
Nobody can call
they
you
take
like,
care of me
"Oh."
right.
I'm trying to
But-
clean it up now.
Well, I'm just saying
I'm trying to
though.
clean it up
it's-
now.
For some reason, I have honestly have thought about to myself like, man, maybe I'm in the wrong area. I need to go over to, I don't know.
Well, I
Issaquah or
was
something,
just
because
gonna say, I think that
it
it has
sucks
to do
to
with
feel
the
that way,
area
but-
too.
Not always.
Man.
Not always. Sometimes it's your clientele base, and
Yeah.
you get.
But
your
if you
clientele.
go over there,
That's what I
and get
mean.
them, they'll
Your
make that
clientele
drive.
base is going to be based
Yeah,
on your
They
area.
would make that drive.
Yeah, but you have
After
if you're good at what you do, people find you. That's what my.
Yeah, no,
my-
Exactly.
I've been doing it for 20 years.
Exactly.
I'm
So
telling
you can you know.
Yep. So guys, man, this was actually a good discussion. But we gotta wrap it up.
Thank you for having us.
Oh,
Well, we have Carrie Scotland just joined. Oh, it's too late. You need to
Just go ahead and play. Just hit the.
play it back.
Go
It's
play it back.
1 hour.
Play it
1
back.
hour. You can play it back
Wait,
anytime.
people are commenting.
Play it
And then
back.
you can still comment, and we'll keep on answering your comments all through the week. You know, whenever you have a comment, one of us will answer your comment. Okay.
You can
And
also
thank you so much for tuning in. Go
you can
ahead.
also tip other ways besides money.
Yeah,
So I get
Oh,
Oh,
I was like, where are you
Yeah.
going with
Hey,
that?
I just want people to know that.
I was waiting to hear what he said.
Wow, look at
I was
it.
waiting to hear what he said.
About advice at home.
Hey, good
we
definitely
live
a
in
tip.
Washington.
In the way you like.
Rachel on the answer. I'm like,
I'm just saying, you know, people, like I say, it's just a gesture to show, hey, man, I appreciate you took care of me.
But would
So,
you,
know,
would you prefer to get other gifts or would you prefer to get
I don't
cash?
care anything.
Hey man, anything is good, especially
Aisha said she
I will
wants that
say
money.
at the end of the year.
Sometimes
I know.
cash can't buy what they give you. Sometimes cash cannot buy
I
that.
will
So
get
a
it.
pair of tickets to an event,
There you
or
go.
Right.
you know, if there's last minute stuff all the time. Just they take care of your barber. So
Take care of
sometimes
your
that money couldn't buy that opportunity.
Or take care of your server, your barber.
Yeah, whatever it is. But you know,
Hey, how about this? The last question is,
All right.
like, I believe in tipping like your mailman at the end of the year, your garbage man. Do you guys believe in that?
I've heard of that. I've never actually done it, but I've heard of it.
Our mailman.
I don't know about
changes
tipping. It's more like a gesture at the
Our
end of the year.
mailman
You
changes
give
up
something
too
like
much.
that.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
That's not tipping.
Yes, I would tip him.
Right.
I don't think
Yeah,
that's
three
tipping.
weeks. That's good.
You're getting a year-long gift for 3 weeks of work.
Yeah.
No.
I don't see my mailman. By the
Nah.
time I get
I've
home,
had the
mail's
same
in.
mailman forever.
but I've never heard myself. I've never heard of tipping like the hotel clerk, like me myself.
No, not
Try
the
it.
hotel clerk.
Try it.
the-
No,
yeah.
not the
But,
clerk.
you
Try
know,
it.
so I mean, you learn something
Because-
new every day.
yeah.
I just got a little bit of coaching today. You
Hey,
know?
man,
That's
coach.
good.
We got the coach. She coached you up.
Yeah, I don't know
Coach
about
you
the
up,
hotel
coach.
clerk.
Coach you up.
Just write down a tip.
Yeah, right.
I don't know
So
about
I said, this is what I was gonna give you. If you
And
upgrade the room.
we didn't cover valet parking. I mean,
Wow.
normally I tip valet parkers
Absolutely.
in the beginning, so they take care of my car and not in the end.
Oh, you always do that. You put
No.
it in your hand. When
Before-
you
Can you
get-
tip them both?
Yes.
When they take it down when they bring it back?
Yes, because they take care of your car better. It's like I went to an event last week. It's like, oh, you know what? I don't have a driver's license pouch yet. Can I park my Can I park my own car? It's like, okay, I will park your car there. I'll just park there, and then I tip him because he would have lost the
to.
and then he was just like, I'll watch for your car. Okay, great.
All right, let's man, we've been going. I'm sorry, guys. We went over, man. Apologize to you
We
guys.
do want to thank Mr. William and Miss Aisha.
Tell them where your shop
Willoughby.
is at again.
Thank you. Unique Styles Salon,
Around 2nd and Meeker in downtown Kent.
and then King of the Hill Barbershop on 240th Street, Pastor Fred Meyer.
Yes, sir.
These are good people. Tip them well.
Tip them well.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, Miss Nicole Johnson. Where can everybody find you?
I am on Facebook at Nicole J Fitness and Instagram at NicoleJ_Fitness.
All right, Miss Dina
That's the
Finney.
coolest
Where they gonna find you at?
Follow me, Dina in Seattle on Facebook. I have all the events. You can ask me questions about any events going on in the city, outreach program, stuff like that. All right? Thank you.
All right.
Oh, and Nicholas gave you guys a shout out. Said you guys
Do excellent work.
and I will agree definitely.
Mr. Barry Crosby. Where can everybody
Man,
find you at?
529 Central Avenue North. You already know. Come
All
on.
right, you
No,
know where the
they don't
shop
know.
is.
They know.
Thank you so much for all the viewers.
Thank you for everybody
Thank
doing
you,
it.
everybody.
Is that my shop? You better know where.
All right, guys. Want to thank everybody for joining
You better
us.
know.
Join us the next week for episode number 30. 30 already. It's a
30.
big deal. Thank you guys for watching. I got a review of the American Made up on the site right now. I'll have Blade Runner next week. And until next time, peace out.